We're talking ascension. We're talking polar shift. We're talking the great micronova, this great flash from the sun that catalyzes ascension. There's a lot in today's conversation that you're going to listen to, and I warn you, there's going to be moments when, as you listen to it, sudden distraction is going to occur, and there's going to be something that says, oh, I think I left the kettle on. There's equally going to be a voice that says, no, leave that distraction. Sit and listen, sit and absorb, because the absorption is expansion of your consciousness. And you know that that's exactly what you came, not just to this video for, but to this life for. You came into this embodiment for an experience to grow you, to expand you. Whether or not you accept that invitation, that's yours. That's entirely up to you. But as you listen to this, an interesting thing is going to take place. Both aspects of you are going to be listening. And what I mean by that is the aspect of you that's plugged into the false matrix, because that's where we were born to, and the aspect of you that is already aligning to the divine matrix and perhaps even plugged into the divine matrix. Those two versions of you currently coexist, which is a crazy mixed up way of being. It's kind of like having two realities meeting and merging and overlaying, and at times you're in a seat of wisdom. You're in this beautiful presence and connection to life. You're in wonder, you're in gratitude, you're in love, you're in peace, you're in a higher consciousness. And then at other times you're in frustration and disillusionment and rejection and distraction. That denial and distraction is the very recipe that has plugged you into the false matrix that plugged all of us. So it's not like you did something wrong. That was exactly the recipe used to bind humanity into the false matrix: denial, distraction, resistance. And that's how, that recipe right there is how we lived in a world where we couldn't see what was literally right in front of our eyes, because truth has never really been far from us. Truth has been so close to us that it's been embedded into our very bodily structure, and yet the conditioning of the false matrix was such that said, go out there, listen to the experts, go out there, consult the authorities. There was this continual drive to discredit your own self, your own wisdom, but more importantly, a connection to yourself. And a primary driver for that disconnect is the analytical process, because the more you can think, the less you can feel, the less you can connect to what you feel. So we get kind of a paralysis of analysis, and so many people don't even know that that's what they're suffering from, don't even know that the reason they're having anxiety, the reason they're having panic is because they've spent too long thinking and overthinking and complicating and overcomplicating, that the simple process of moving into being, into doing, into action eludes them. Such simple things like connect to yourself, such simple things like feel your emotions, these become elusive when too much time is spent in the analytical process. And the analytical process is the ultimate trickster, because the brain can tell you whatever it needs to tell you in order to keep you under its jurisdiction. The part of you that's plugged into the false matrix, as you may have guessed already, I'm not saying the brain is the culprit, but I'm saying the part of you that hijacked the show and got you into the false matrix itself was the part of you that resided in the brain. So it's not the thinking process per se that is the culprit, but rather that desire to be right, that desire to have the answers, that desire to be in control, created a space for the ego to attach to the false matrix. That's the part of you that still exists. And that's one of the uncomfortable truths that we're going to be focusing on today. It's okay for you to be uncomfortable. And I know that I'm saying something that's so blatantly obvious, and yet it's the most avoided place right now and in our current modern day society. The thing that we avoid like the plague is discomfort. You know why? Because discomfort is the thing that's going to grow you. Discomfort is the thing that's going to take you out of stagnancy. And yet, it is what society has conditioned most people to avoid at all costs. Don't say those words. They make me uncomfortable. Don't think those thoughts. They make me challenge myself. So we've been avoiding so much discomfort in order to maintain a sense of stability. But it's a false sense of stability. It's called control. And control is ironically the most out of power place that we can be. The most in power place that we can be is when we are in flow and surrender. It's when we're in connection to something beyond the brain. It's the divine intelligence within you that connects to the divine matrix, that connects to God's source consciousness itself. Now I'm going to give you a very brief overview of your purpose for this life. Your purpose for this life is to be born into the false matrix, connected to the false matrix. So I never want you to feel like, oh, I did something wrong by having an ego. I did something wrong by coming to planet Earth. This was a perfect design. This was a perfect plan. You brought yourself into the false matrix in order to ascend it from within. And how you ascend it from within is by shifting, not the world out there, but the world in here. Shifting your alignment from being connected to, cognitive dissonance, illusion, denial, distraction, disconnection, the analytical brain. Everything that once connected you to the false matrix is exactly what you came in to shift so that you could connect to the true matrix or the divine matrix. The divine matrix is planet Earth plugged into the original source creation from whence it came. The original Earth was a beautiful Eden. The original Earth was a planetary field where gods resided, or at least God beings who knew that they were of God consciousness and were creators of life, manifestors of reality. Now we've got a very watered down version of that still exists in the false matrix, but it's unplugged us from the divine matrix so thoroughly, so completely, that we believe the illusions to the point that we want to defend the illusions. To the point that we want to defend the very prison cell that we're trying to break free from. That's the epitome of what it's been to live in the false matrix. But you came here to be in the false matrix, to recognize, man, this is uncomfortable. Watch my recent video about the squeeze. I'll link it for you in the video description. That squeeze is telling you, this jail cell is getting a little bit too tight. This imprisonment that I'm in is getting a little bit too claustrophobic. I want to break free. And you're being catalyzed now, because this isn't you on a lone mission. This is you with the universe, having come into a divine purpose. Not to really break free, those are the wrong words, to break free from the false matrix. I should rather say to dissolve from within the false matrix that bound you and your ego into a hijacked planet and a hijacked reality. The reality of truth, your divine truth, we can call it the divine matrix, the true matrix, is what you came to establish in yourself. And by establishing it in yourself, you generate an alignment. This is very important to today's conversation. The alignment that you generate becomes the catalyst, a message, if you will, that is sent to the sun, that triggers the sun's great solar flash. That solar flash is then the catalyst to the mass populace, to Earth itself, the planetary body, as well as all beings of consciousness on the planet. There is this great solar flash. It's a moment where the sun ejects a coronal mass ejection unlike anything we've ever seen, unlike anything we could ever imagine. That is the solar flash. It's spoken about in ancient history. It's spoken about almost in a woo-woo kind of way, and you got to pay attention. When things are dismissed as woo-woo, what it really means is, here's a concept that exists outside of the false matrix. And because nobody's wanted you to go and explore there, outside the confines of the false matrix, they have made everything that exists in the true matrix woo-woo, worthy of ridicule. So whether it's going within yourself to find the truth or going without, as in outside of the false matrix, whichever way you went about it, there was ridicule involved. This wasn't just about the hijacking of a planet. This was also about the hijacking of a spiritual movement that was going to connect you to the truth of who you are. That hijacked spiritual movement is something so many of us became familiar with, myself included. I've lovingly referred to it as the New Cage movement. And I'm not saying to you that you're wrong if you've been New Agey. I'm not saying to you that you're wrong if you're spiritual even. I'm saying to you, there have been so many untruths, just that. So many untruths interwoven into what we call spirituality, purposefully designed to convince you that you're breaking free from the prison of the mind, breaking free from the prison of the false matrix whilst staying in the false matrix. Clever plan. I share this with you because recently I put up a poll on my community board here on YouTube, and I said, what do you guys think? And I was just gauging from my audience. What do you guys think? Are we headed to a cataclysm? In your lifetime, are you going to see a cataclysm? Just checking in. What do you feel? And really my question, I didn't type it, but my question was, do you believe we're going to have a shift in the magnetic field? Are we going to have a pole shift take place in this lifetime? A lot of you must have picked up that that's exactly what I was asking about, because in the comment section, a lot of you mentioned pole shift. Yes, absolutely. Magnetic field is shrinking. Magnetic excursion is taking place. You know about that, right? The North Pole's not where the North Pole used to be. South Pole's not where the South Pole used to be. There's this magnetic migration. So we've already begun the process of the poles moving. It seems to be a very slow crawl, but I'm going to share with you how that's going to speed up ever so suddenly. So in the comments section, I got beautiful comments. One person said, and I can't remember the exact words, but something along the lines of, you know, when the phoenix rises, because we know about the phoenix rising from the ashes, right? This person said, well, the phoenix doesn't rise from the day spa. So cataclysm, yeah, entirely possible. Other people wrote, cataclysm. Good God, Kerry, that's a negative word. It has a negative connotation. Guys, when you see the planet in upheaval, the last thing you're going to care about is whether or not the word that you're using to describe it is negative or not. And at this exact point, there's a lot of spiritual people that have just gone, wow, I can't listen to her. She's so negative. She's talking about negative things. We don't want negativity because negativity brings discomfort. Discomfort brings growth. No, we need to stay in the known. We need to stay in this positive bubble. I'm not poo-pooing you if that's you. I'm not telling you that you're wrong. I'm simply hoping that you'll see beyond the toxic bubble of positivity that many people became aligned to. And please let me tell you, you didn't get into that positivity and that mindset because you're a bad person. It's the opposite. You got in there because you want love. It's all you want. You want happiness. It's all you want. You want joy. It's all you want. You want truth. I get that. Today, there's going to be little moments where you're going to feel prodded and poked out of your comfort zone. Let me carry on now. We've spoken about the false matrix. The divine matrix is a place of connection. It's where you feel. And that's why there's such emphasis. You're going to hear a lot of teachers, spiritual teachers, who are really valuable. There's not that many of them, but there's some really valuable spiritual teachers on the planet right now who are talking to you about, let's just get real, let's just drop the pretense. I'm not going to pretend that I am God Almighty. I'm not going to pretend and show you a perfect view of me. I'm going to show you a very human view of me because I want you to be human and I want you to be real. Above all else, do that one thing, get real, get authentic, because when you do that, you get powerful. You step out of the ego, because the ego can't be imperfect. The ego, if you haven't understood it already, is the thing that binds you to the false matrix. The true self is the thing that connects you to the divine matrix, right? The true self warrants your undivided attention right now. I want you to get so real with yourself, your life, your spiritual path. I want you to get so real right now that you begin to understand this one thing, and that is all the frilly pictures don't matter. You're headed towards some massive events on this planet. Massive. Literally earth-moving events. Literally life-altering, planet-altering events. You're headed towards that, and the only thing that matters is your alignment. Your car, I cannot tell you how much that doesn't matter. Your house, I cannot express to you how much that doesn't matter. Your clothes, your perfume, your makeup, if you're like me and you love art in any way, your art supplies, doesn't matter. You're going to be shifting reality in the most powerful way. Because when you connect to your divine alignment, and this is what I teach in my online community, I say this now because people in the comment section always say, how do I do this? How do I get into my divine alignment? This cannot be taught to you in words. This can only be taught to you energetically. And that's the exact reason why my online community exists. Description box to find the details. That divine alignment of yours, not just is it the catalyst for ascension. Think of it like this. Think of your axis, because you're a magnetic being, electromagnetic being, living on an electromagnetic planetary body. So you mimic what the planet's doing. The planet's poles, you mimic them. As the planet's magnetic field shrinks, shifts, yours does too. Your magnetic field is something that you've been taught not to focus on or take seriously. Yeah, it exists, but we can't see it, so it can't be that important. Except it's the very fundamental nature of who you are. You are primarily an energetic being, even if you can't see that energy. But you're walking into a time where you are going to be seeing that energy, because you're walking into a time very rapidly where the world that you knew is going to disappear and be born anew, be rebirthed into the divine matrix, which sounds fantastical. And there's a lot of spiritual people that say, oh, cataclysm, schmataclysm, not going to happen because we've bypassed that timeline. It's all love and roses. I actually agree with you, ironically. I actually agree with you, amazingly enough. Except I want to be real with you and let you know, when the pole shift happens, when the great micronova happens, life as you know it on planet Earth is going to be decimated and destroyed. And I can just imagine the flutters in your heart and the outrage that so many people have gone into at the level of discomfort that my words might have just triggered. However, let me say this. Your divine alignment, when your axis straightens, when your magnetic field shifts along with the Earth's, you will ascend. And when your divine alignment is such that everything is in coherence, your entire chakric column is in coherence. There's numerous videos that I've done on this. Your body is a technology you do not own, the Antichrist, the Holy Grail. Lots of videos where I'm talking about alignment. And it's triggered a lot of people because they've said, how could I possibly not be in alignment? You have gotten so acclimated to an alignment that was never normal or true. We call it the false matrix, right? The truth of who you are is a polar flip, a magnetic reversal from where you've been. That process that you're busy undergoing right now is the most magnificent, extraordinary miracle you're going to live through. Because here I am talking cataclysm, but if you've stayed with me this long, then first of all, I salute you and I honor you and I thank you. But secondly, you can withstand truth. You can be presented with discomfort and feel what's happening in your body. In spite of discomfort, something kicks in and says, wow, didn't you always know this? Be real with yourself. Didn't you always know that in your lifetime you were going to see something so monumental take place? Because you are. But you're going to see it taking place if your alignment is there. That's why I said moments ago, your spiritual path is the most important path you're walking. Nothing else matters. Because when your alignment is in place, you will, at the point of ascension, at the point that the great micronova is emitted from the sun, at that exact point, you will emit from your heart center a magnetic protective bubble around you. You will then be encapsulated in a field of protection. You along with your children, you along with your animals, you along with many, each in their individual bubble, but there'll be many of you within proximity to each other. Each individual bubble is each individual person's ascension. You will be surrounded by galactic beings, by guides, by angelic beings, by your own soul self coming into embodiment, and you will walk out of that bubble as the higher consciousness version of you. So it's kind of like this: the false matrix version goes in, and the false matrix version is your current version, which has both, access to both, the false matrix and the divine matrix. But the version that walks out of that bubble of reality, which cushions you from the cataclysmic, and I know that's a negative word, but it's okay to use it, or it's a word that has negative connotations. It's okay to use it because it's okay to get uncomfortable and be real and feel what surfaces. The planet is going to change monumentally, but at the same time, you will be protected by your frequency. You will be protected by your alignment if it's in place. It is the only thing that's going to save you. There are no rescuers coming. You are your rescuer. You are the one that you waited for. Your divine alignment specifically is the part of you that is capable of protecting you, shielding you through this event. Now, there are no doubt going to be many people in the comment section saying it's impossible and here's the reasons why and where's your scientific evidence. I am absolutely, if you didn't guess that already, I am absolutely not a scientist. That is not my field or my forte. There's a wonderful scientist though by the name of Ben Davidson, and I really appreciate his work. His channel on YouTube is called Suspicious Observers, and I strongly suggest you go and review his work if you're looking for the mechanics of this magnetic field shift, of the magnetic excursion, of the magnetic field weakening. If you're looking for the mechanics of the micronova even, he's got a disaster playlist. It's a 90-minute documentary. Go watch. Start there. Start by watching that. There's so much. It's an absolute treasure trove of information. Right? So if you're looking for what's the science behind this kind of avenue, I'm not your girl, but Ben Davidson's your guy. So definitely go and review his channel. I'm your girl. If you're looking at how the hell are we going to walk through this? How exactly are we going to navigate this? Are we all doomed? No. We're blessed to be living the miracle, and every day of your life is preparation for that miracle. You have no idea how hard you worked, how much it took, what tests you passed just to show up here at this time. Even if you've lost focus and it feels hellish and it feels difficult and you're saying, why me? Even if you're in that state of being, you still earned your stripes. You earned your place here on planet Earth, and this was not easy to get into. This was not an easy class, not an easy school, not an easy experience to be eligible for. Now, as much as it's true that you're not here to learn, you're here to remember the truth of who you are. I want you to know that the process of remembering the truth of who you are will include learning, will include relearning things that you already know, such as this conversation. That's why I said to you, you're going to listen to this conversation and go, man, something about me, my brain maybe didn't know this, but something about me knew this, something within me knew this. And that is the truth. There is so much that you're on the brink of remembering. There's so much that you're on the brink of connecting to. Alignment is key. Alignment is everything. This is a miracle. So as much as I've used the word cataclysm, I want you to start seeing the privilege that you have of being here to witness the miracle. Final note that I want to leave you with. Have you been distracted, do you think? From seeing what's taking place, do you think? Has 2020 been perhaps the greatest distraction of all, because there's been undeniable changes on our planet that hint towards not just the micronova, but the magnetic field excursion, the possibility of a pole flip. Is it possible that you have been so distracted from seeing what is right there, right in front of your nose? The truth within your heart, the ground beneath your feet, all of it in such proximity to you, yet so far out of reach because of distraction. Don't distract yourself anymore from what you already know to be true. There's a lot here to digest. You're welcome to ask me questions in the comments section. I will address and answer as many of them as I possibly can. I know that it's not going to be all of them, but please know this. You know how to handle this. You came equipped for the job. Even if you didn't have this conversation from me today, you would still know, for the same reason that a birthing mama knows, even when it's her first birth, she knows somehow how to do it. As soon as she gets out of her head and how her head thinks it's going to work, and how her brain tells her the thing's going to be. And she just gets into surrender with her body. When she gets into surrender with her body, guess what happens? Her body births the baby. Your body will ascend you. Your body's built for this. The trick is to get this part of you out of the way, because it is this part of you that connected you to the confines of the false matrix. From my heart to yours, I'm going to leave videos for you in the description box that are going to help you to have perhaps a little bit more clarity and insight. Subscribe to the channel if you want more, and do me one big favor. If you like this video, please do click on the like button, purely because that sends a signal to YouTube to share it with others. Lots of love. Bye bye for now.